The scream echoed through the penthouse, sharp enough to shatter glass. "You bathed my daughter in a pot?" Elena Harper's voice sliced through the air, her eyes blazing as she stood in the doorway of the nursery. Clara Nguyen, the nanny, froze, her hands still damp from the warm water, a 5-year-old girl giggling at her feet. It was a mistake, Clara knew, to think she could explain herself to Elena, New York's youngest billionaire. A woman whose name was synonymous with power and precision. The penthouse, perched atop a Manhattan skyscraper, was a testament to Elena's empire. Sleek marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city's glittering skyline, and modern art worth millions. Yet, in this moment, it was the small dented metal pot sitting on the nursery floor that held Clara captive. "I'm so sorry, Miss Harper," Clara stammered, her voice soft but steady. She knelt beside Lily, Elena's daughter, who was wrapped in a fluffy towel, her dark curls bouncing as she splashed imaginary waves. "The bathtub faucet broke, and I didn't want to disturb you. I used what we had." Elena's jaw tightened, her auburn hair catching the late afternoon light as she stepped closer. At 38, she was a vision of control-tailored blazer, heels that clicked with authority, and eyes that could silence a boardroom. But now those eyes burned with something raw, something Clara couldn't quite name. "A pot," Elena repeated, her voice low, dangerous. "You thought a cooking pot was appropriate for my child?" Clara's cheeks flushed, but she held her ground. She was 29 with no wealth or status to shield her, just a quiet strength honed from years of caring for others. Her black hair fell in soft waves around her face, and her brown eyes met Elena's without flinching. "It was clean, Miss Harper. I boiled it first. Lily was happy, safe. I'd never." "Enough." Elena cut her off, her hand slicing through the air. "This is unacceptable. I hired you to provide the best care, not to treat my daughter like she's in some backwater village." The words stung, sharper than Clara expected. She thought of her own childhood, of her mother washing her in a metal basin in their tiny Brooklyn apartment, love making up for what money couldn't provide. But she swallowed the retort, knowing her job, her lifeline, was at stake. "I understand," she said quietly. "It won't happen again." Lily, oblivious to the tension, tugged at Clara's sleeve. Clara made it fun. She said it was like a pirate ship. Her bright voice was a stark contrast to the storm brewing between the two women. Elena's gaze softened for a fleeting moment as she looked at her daughter, but it hardened again as it returned to Clara. "We'll discuss this later," she said, turning on her heel. "Get her dressed properly." As Elena strode out, Clara exhaled, her heart pounding. She scooped Lily into her arms, the girl's warmth grounding her. "Let's get you ready for bed, little pirate," she whispered, forcing a smile. But her mind was elsewhere, replaying Elena's words, the fire in her eyes. There was something beneath the anger, something Clara couldn't shake. Elena sat in her office, the city sprawling below her like a map of her conquests. She'd built Harper Industries from nothing, turning a small tech startup into a global giant. But tonight her empire felt hollow. She stared at the glass of whiskey on her desk, untouched, her thoughts spiraling. Why had Clara's actions hit her so hard? It wasn't just the pot, it was the audacity, the intimacy of it. The image of Clara, gentle and unassuming, bathing Lily with such care, stirred something Elena hadn't felt in years. Her wife, Vanessa, was supposed to be the one who softened her edges. Vanessa, with her effortless charm and golden hair, had been Elena's anchor for a decade. They'd met at a charity gala, Vanessa's laughter cutting through Elena's guarded walls. They'd built a life together. Lily, their adopted daughter, was the heart of it. But lately Vanessa was distant, her smiles forced, her nights spent working late at her law firm. Elena pushed the thought away, but it lingered like a shadow. Clara, though she was different, there was a warmth to her, a quiet resilience that Elena couldn't ignore. She'd hired Clara 6 months ago, expecting just another employee. Instead, she found herself noticing the way Clara hummed to Lily, the way her hands moved with purpose, the way her eyes held stories she never shared. And now this pot incident, it felt like a crack in the perfect facade of Elena's life. She stood, pacing to the window. The city lights blurred as her mind wandered to Clara's calm defiance, her refusal to cower. Elena wasn't used to being challenged, not in her boardroom, not in her home. Yet Clara, with her soft voice and steady gaze, had done just that. Clara tucked Lily into bed, the girl clutching a stuffed whale. "Will Mommy be mad forever?" Lily asked, her voice small. "No, sweetheart," Clara said, brushing a curl from Lily's forehead. "She just loves you so much. She wants everything to be perfect for you." Lily nodded, her eyes heavy. As Clara turned off the light, she felt a pang of guilt. She hadn't meant to upset Elena, but the broken faucet had left her with no choice. She'd grown up making do, finding joy in small things. A pot could be a bath, a story, a ship. She wanted Lily to feel that joy too. In the hallway, Clara hesitated. She needed to explain herself to make Elena understand. She knocked softly on the office door, her heart racing. "Ms. Harper? Can we talk?" Elena's voice was cool. "Come in." Clara stepped inside, the grandeur of the office overwhelming. Elena stood by the window, her silhouette sharp against the city glow. "I'm sorry about earlier," Clara began. "I didn't mean to overstep. I wanted Lily to feel loved, not neglected." Elena turned, her expression unreadable. "Loved?" she repeated, as if testing the word. "You think I don't love my daughter?" "No, that's not," Clara's voice faltered. "I know you do. I saw her smile and I thought it was okay. I was wrong." Elena studied her, the silence heavy. "Why a pot, Clara? Of all things." Clara's lips parted, then closed. She could lie, say it was a mistake. But something in Elena's gaze demanded truth. "It's how my mom bathed me," she admitted. "We didn't have much, but she made it special. I wanted that for Lily." Elena's eyes flickered, something softening in her features. For a moment Clara thought she saw understanding. But then Elena's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. She glanced at it, her face hardening. "Vanessa's home," she said curtly. "We'll continue this tomorrow." Clara nodded, retreating. But as she left, she caught a glimpse of Elena's expression, not anger, but something deeper, something like longing. It stayed with her, a quiet ache, as she stepped into the elevator and descended into the night. Vanessa's laughter filled the penthouse the next morning, bright and practiced, as she twirled Lily in the kitchen. Clara watched from the doorway, a tray of breakfast in her hands. Vanessa was radiant, blonde hair cascading over her shoulders, her designer dress hugging her frame. At 40, she was the picture of elegance, but Clara noticed the strain in her smile, the way her eyes darted to her phone every few seconds. "Good morning, Clara," Vanessa called, her tone warm but distant. "Lily was just telling me about her pirate adventure in the pot. Quite the story." Clara forced a smile, setting the tray down. "She had fun," she said simply, avoiding Elena's gaze across the room. Elena was sipping coffee, her expression unreadable, but Clara felt the weight of their unfinished conversation. "Fun," Vanessa echoed, ruffling Lily's hair. "Well, let's stick to bathtubs from now on, shall we?" Her tone was light, but there was an edge to it, a subtle warning. Clara nodded, her stomach twisting. The morning passed in a blur of routine. Clara helped Lily with her art project, read her a story, and kept the penthouse tidy. But her thoughts kept drifting to Elena. The billionaire had barely spoken, her focus on her laptop, but every so often, Clara caught her watching. It wasn't anger in her eyes, no, it was curiosity, maybe even conflict. At noon, Vanessa left for her law firm, her goodbye kiss to Lily brief. Elena stayed behind, working from home, which was rare. Clara felt the shift in the air, the quiet intensity of Elena's presence. She was wiping down the kitchen counter when Elena appeared, leaning against the doorway. "Clara," Elena said, her voice softer than yesterday. "About last night. I overreacted." Clara paused, surprised. "It's okay, Miss Harper. I understand." "No, you don't." Elena stepped closer, her eyes searching Clara's. "I'm not used to imperfection. Not in my work, not in my home. But you made Lily laugh. That's not nothing." Clara's heart skipped. "I just want her to feel safe," she said. "Loved." Elena nodded, her gaze lingering. "You're good at that," she said quietly. "Better than I am sometimes." The admission hung between them, raw and unguarded. Clara wanted to say something to bridge the gap, but Elena's phone buzzed again. She glanced at it, her face tightening. "I have a meeting," she said abruptly, retreating to her office. Clara exhaled, her mind racing. There was something unspoken in Elena's words, something that felt like a door cracking open. She didn't know what it meant, but it stirred a warmth in her chest she couldn't ignore. That evening, Clara found a small journal tucked under Lily's bed while tidying up. It was worn, the leather cover soft from years of handling. Curious, she opened it, expecting Lily's scribbles. Instead, she found pages of handwriting Vanessa's, she realized, recognizing the elegant script from notes left on the fridge. The entries were dated years ago, before Lily, before the penthouse. I love her, but I'm drowning. Elena's world is so big and I'm just here. I met someone today. She makes me feel seen. Clara's breath caught. She snapped the journal shut, guilt flooding her. She shouldn't have read it. But the words burned in her mind, a glimpse into a truth she hadn't expected. Vanessa, the perfect wife, had secrets. She slipped the journal into her pocket, unsure what to do. Part of her wanted to tell Elena, to warn her. But another part, a quieter, more dangerous part, wondered if Elena already knew. If that was why she was so guarded, so quick to lash out. The next day Elena was different. She lingered in the nursery, watching Clara play with Lily. Her usual sharpness softened. "You're good with her," Elena said, almost to herself. "She trusts you." Clara smiled, brushing paint from Lily's hands. "She's easy to love." Elena hesitated, then sat beside them, her tailored skirt a stark contrast to the colorful chaos of the art table. "Tell me about you, Clara," she said. "Where did you grow up?" The question caught Clara off guard. "Brooklyn," she said. "Small apartment, just me and my mom. She worked 2 jobs, but she always made time for me." Elena's eyes softened. "That's why the pot," she said, more a statement than a question. Clara nodded. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Elena looked away, her fingers tracing the edge of the table. "I didn't have that," she admitted. "My parents were distant. Success was all that mattered. I built this life to prove I could, but sometimes I wonder what I'm missing." The vulnerability in her voice was disarming. Clara wanted to reach out to tell her she wasn't alone. But before she could, Lily tugged at Elena's sleeve, demanding her attention. The moment passed, but it left a mark. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. The journal weighed heavy in her bag, its secrets pressing against her. She didn't want to betray Vanessa, but the thought of Elena, strong, brilliant Elena, being hurt made her chest ache. She didn't understand why it mattered so much, why Elena's pain felt like her own. She sat in the guest room, the city lights filtering through the window. She opened the journal again, unable to resist. The entries grew more desperate, Vanessa's words painting a picture of a marriage unraveling, of a woman named Rachel who offered escape. Clara's heart sank. She didn't know Rachel, but she knew what this meant. Elena deserved to know. But as she closed the journal, she heard a soft knock. Elena stood in the doorway, her hair loose, her eyes tired. "Can't sleep either?" she asked. Clara shook her head, clutching the journal behind her back. "Just thinking." Elena stepped inside, her presence filling the small room. "About what?" For a moment, Clara considered telling her everything, but the words caught in her throat. Instead she said, "About you. About how hard it must be to carry all this." Elena's breath hitched, and for the first time, Clara saw her not as a billionaire, but as a woman, lonely, searching, human. "It is," Elena whispered. "But you make it feel lighter." The air between them crackled, a dangerous pull Clara didn't understand. She stepped back, her heart pounding. "I should get some rest," she said, her voice barely steady. Elena nodded, but as she left, her fingers brushed Clara's arm, a touch so fleeting it might not have happened. But it did, and it burned. The journal became Clara's secret burden. She carried it everywhere, hidden in her bag, its weight a constant reminder of the truth she couldn't share. Every time she saw Elena, she felt the words on the tip of her tongue, but something held her back, fear, maybe, or the growing realization that her feelings for Elena were no longer just professional. Elena was changing too. She spent more time at home, joining Clara and Lily for small moments, reading stories, building pillow forts. Her laughter, rare and unguarded, filled the penthouse with a warmth Clara hadn't known it could hold. But Vanessa's absence grew more pronounced, her late nights stretching into days. When she was home, her smiles were brittle, her attention elsewhere. One afternoon, Clara found Elena in the kitchen, staring at a photo of her and Vanessa from their wedding day. The frame was silver, the smiles frozen in time. "We were so happy," Elena said, not looking up. "Or I thought we were." Clara hesitated, then sat across from her. "You still love her," she said, not a question. Elena's fingers tightened around the frame. "I do. But love isn't enough when someone's pulling away." Clara's heart ached. She wanted to tell Elena about the journal, about Rachel, but the words felt like betrayal. Instead, she said, "You deserve someone who sees you. Really sees you." Elena's eyes met hers, searching. "And you? Who sees you, Clara?" The question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Clara's breath caught, her mind racing. She wanted to say you, but the word was too big, too dangerous. "Lily does," she said instead, forcing a smile. "That's enough for me." Elena's gaze lingered, and for a moment, Clara thought she might say something more. But then Lily ran in, breaking the spell, and the moment was gone. That evening, Clara overheard a fight. She was tidying the nursery when raised voices drifted from the master bedroom. Vanessa's tone was sharp, defensive. "You're never here, Elena. You think I don't notice how you look at her?" Clara froze, her heart pounding. Her? Did Vanessa mean her? She pressed herself against the wall, straining to hear. "I'm trying, Vanessa," Elena snapped. "But you're the one who's gone. Who's Rachel?" The name hit like a thunderclap. Clara's hand flew to her mouth, the journal burning in her mind. Elena knew. Somehow she knew. Vanessa's voice dropped, too low for Clara to hear. The argument ended abruptly, the door slamming as Vanessa stormed out. Clara waited, her pulse racing, until she heard Elena's footsteps. She stepped into the hall, unable to stop herself. "Miss Harper," she said softly. Elena turned, her face pale, her eyes red. "You heard," she said, her voice flat. Clara nodded, guilt twisting in her gut. "I didn't mean to. I found something. A journal. Vanessa's." Elena's expression hardened. "Show me." Clara hesitated, then retrieved the journal from her bag. She handed it to Elena, her hands trembling. "I didn't want to pry," she said. "But I thought you should know." Elena opened the journal, her eyes scanning the pages. Each word seemed to hit her like a blow, her shoulders tensing, her breath shallow. When she reached the entries about Rachel, she stopped, her fingers gripping the leather cover. "She's been lying to me," Elena whispered. "For years." Clara wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but she stayed still. "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice breaking. Elena looked up, her eyes raw. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I didn't want to hurt you," Clara said. I care about you." The admission slipped out, unguarded, and Clara's heart stopped. Elena's gaze softened, something unspoken passing between them. But before either could say more, Lily's voice called from the nursery, and the moment shattered. The next day, Elena was a ghost. She moved through the penthouse like a shadow, her usual fire dimmed. Clara kept her distance, giving her space, but the air felt heavy with unspoken words. Vanessa didn't come home that night or the next. Elena didn't mention her, but Clara saw the pain in her eyes, the way she clung to Lily a little tighter. On the third day, Elena asked Clara to stay late. "I need to talk," she said, her voice quiet but firm. They sat in the living room, the city lights casting long shadows. Elena held the journal, her fingers tracing its edges. "I confronted her," she said. "Vanessa admitted everything. Rachel's a colleague. It's been going on for 2 years." Clara's heart sank. "I'm so sorry, Elena." Elena's eyes flicked up at the use of her name, but she didn't correct her. "I thought I knew her," she said. "I thought we had something real. But this," she gestured to the journal, "this changes everything." Clara reached out, her hand resting on Elena's. "You're not alone," she said. "You have Lily. You have people who care." Elena's hand turned, her fingers intertwining with Clara's. The touch was electric, a quiet promise. "You've been here," Elena said. "Through all of this." "Why?" Clara's throat tightened. She wanted to say it, to let the truth spill out, but fear held her back. "Because you're worth it," she said instead. "You and Lily." Elena's eyes shimmered, and for a moment, Clara thought she might lean closer. But then Elena pulled back, her walls rising again. I need time, she said, to figure this out. Clara nodded, her heart heavy but hopeful. I'll be here, she said. Weeks passed, and the penthouse felt like a held breath. Vanessa moved out, her absence a quiet wound. Elena threw herself into work, her days filled with meetings and calls, but she always came home to Lily and to Clara. Their moments together grew longer, more frequent, each one charged with a quiet intensity neither dared name. Clara became Elena's confidant, her anchor. They talked late into the night, sharing stories of their past. Elena's relentless climb to success, Clara's quiet resilience. Clara learned the weight of Elena's loneliness, the price of her empire. Elena learned the warmth of Clara's childhood, the love that shaped her. One evening as they sat on the balcony, the city humming below, Elena turned to Clara. You make this bearable, she said. I don't know how I'd do this without you. Clara's heart raced. You're stronger than you think, she said. But I'm glad I can help. Elena's gaze lingered, her eyes tracing Clara's face. It's more than that, she said softly. You make me feel seen. The words hung between them, a confession wrapped in caution. Clara wanted to close the distance, to tell Elena everything, how her heart raced at her touch, how her dreams were filled with her. But she held back, afraid of breaking the fragile trust they'd built. Lily's 6th birthday arrived, a bright spot in the storm. Clara planned a small party, just the 3 of them, with balloons and a cake she baked herself. Elena watched, her smile genuine for the first time in weeks, as Lily squealed over her gifts. When Lily fell asleep curled up on the couch, Elena and Clara sat together, the silence comfortable. Thank you, Elena said, her voice low, for making her happy. For making me happy. Clara's breath caught. You deserve it, she said. Both of you. Elena's hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. This time neither pulled away. The city lights blurred, the world shrinking to just them. Clara, Elena whispered, her voice trembling. I don't know what this is, but I feel it. Clara's heart pounded, her resolve crumbling. I feel it too, she admitted, her voice barely audible. Elena leaned closer, her breath warm against Clara's cheek. For a moment Clara thought she might kiss her, but then Elena pulled back, her eyes conflicted. I can't, she said. Not yet. Clara nodded, her heart aching but understanding. I'll wait, she said. As long as you need. The next week Vanessa returned. She stood in the penthouse, her eyes red, her voice pleading. I made a mistake, she told Elena. Rachel was an escape. I love you. I want us to try again. Clara watched from the hallway, her heart in her throat. Elena's face was a mask, her emotions locked away. You broke us, Elena said. You lied for years. Vanessa stepped closer, her hands outstretched. I know, but we can fix this. For Lily. Elena's eyes flicked to Clara, a silent question. Clara's chest tightened, but she stayed silent, giving Elena the space to choose. After a long moment Elena shook her head. No, she said. I deserve more. Lily deserves more. Vanessa's face crumpled, but she nodded, leaving without another word. Clara exhaled, relief and fear warring within her. Elena turned to her, her eyes raw but resolute. I meant it, she said. I deserve more. And I think you're part of that. Clara's heart soared, but she held back, knowing the weight of Elena's words. I'm here, she said. Whenever you're ready. Months later the penthouse felt alive again. Lily's laughter echoed through the halls, and Elena's smiles came easier, brighter. Clara was no longer just the nanny, she was family, her presence woven into their lives. She and Elena moved slowly, carefully, letting their connection grow in quiet moments. Shared glances over dinner, late-night talks, hands brushing as they tucked Lily into bed. One evening, as snow fell over the city, Elena asked Clara to stay after Lily was asleep. They sat by the fireplace, the flames casting a warm glow. Elena held a small box, her fingers nervous. I've been thinking, she said. About us. About what I want. Clara's heart raced, hope and fear colliding. What do you want? She asked. Elena opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring. You, she said. Not as my nanny, not as my friend, but as more. If you'll have me. Tears pricked Clara's eyes. She thought of the pot, the journal, the long road that brought them here. She thought of her own fears, her own heart, and the love that had grown despite it all. Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'll have you. Elena slipped the ring onto Clara's finger, her touch steady, sure. They leaned closer, their lips meeting in a kiss that was soft, then fierce, a promise of everything to come. The city outside faded, the world theirs alone. Years later, Clara stood in the same penthouse, now filled with new memories. Lily, older now, ran through the rooms, her laughter a constant. Elena and Clara were married, their love a quiet strength that anchored them. The pot, once a point of conflict, sat on a shelf, a reminder of where they began. They faced challenges, whispers from Elena's world, doubts from Clara's past, but they faced them together. Elena learned to let go of perfection, to embrace the mess of love. Clara learned to trust, to believe she was enough. And Lily grew up surrounded by love, her mother's bond a testament to resilience. The truth about Vanessa had broken Elena, but it also set her free. It led her to Clara, to a love that was honest, raw, and real. And as they stood together watching the city lights, Clara knew they'd found something rare, a love that could weather any storm, a family built on truth. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.